Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be reacting to the Fox Sports Top 25 poll that came out for the 2025-2026 college football season. We're going to go over every single ranking, break the teams down, and see if we agree with where they're ranked, if they're too high, too low. What's our reaction to this poll? First things first, though, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, by all means, drop them below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? What are your thoughts on these polls? Let me know down in the comments, and I will make sure that I respond to every single comment. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, look down at the pinned comment below. Click on that link. You can sign up there, and I would definitely appreciate it. Once the regular season starts, don't forget, summer is almost over. We are almost at kickoff for college football. The offseason flew by. We cannot wait for football season, both college football and NFL. When those season starts, we go over every game every single week. We break them all down. We do predictions, picks, best bets, money lines, spreads, over-unders for college football and the NFL. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. But let's not waste any more time. So we had this Fox Sports poll that came out. The poll was actually put together by Joel Klatt. One thing that I will say about Joel Klatt is I will give him props for kind of going against the grain. He definitely made his own poll. He didn't go off of ESPN or CBS. He put together who he honestly really thought were the top 1 through 25 teams. He broke them all down and why he thought each of them are where he ranked them in the poll. It is different from the other polls. So you got to give him credit there. Got to give him props. I have some things that I agree with, some things that I disagree with. But overall, I actually think he had a really good poll. I like his poll better than the ESPN poll that came out last month. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get started looking at these teams. So obviously who he put at the number 1 spot, some people are going to kind of, shrug their shoulders at this. Some people are going to agree with this. He put the Penn State Nittany Lions there. This was a playoff team last year. This was a team finally got over the hump. James Franklin can finally get that weight off of his shoulders. He won a bowl game, won a playoff game. They made a run for the national championship. They made a run for the Big Ten. They made it to the Big Ten championship game as well. The thing that stands out about the Penn State Nittany Lions team, I have no issue with them being number 1. Do I think they're going to finish the regular season number 1? No. But they are one of the few teams in the top 10 that actually returns a lot of starters. A lot of your top teams are completely breaking in new quarterbacks, a lot of unknowns, a lot of variables that we just haven't seen those players on the field yet. So we really don't know how to judge the quarterback because we haven't seen them as a full-time starter. But Drew Aller, this is his 3rd or 4th year as the full-time Penn State starter. He has a lot of reps. Yeah, sometimes he makes you scratch your head. Sometimes he makes a big play. Sometimes he doesn't. But no matter what, he's considered a first-round pick in the NFL draft. And he has probably the deepest running back room in the entire country. He's going to have Singleton. He's going to have Allen, the best 1-2 running back combo. They're going to line up in the eye. They're going to run it right down your throat. That's going to open up the play action. They never have a great offense, but obviously they hit the portal pretty hard wide receiver core-wise. They brought over Pena from Syracuse. He's a potential 1,000-yard guy, 80 to 100 receptions in college football. He's going to be that go-to third-down guy. Watch him in the slot especially. And you know one thing Penn State's always going to do? They're always going to have a top 10 defense. They're going to get after it. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to focus at the line of scrimmage, the trenches, getting after quarterback pressures, sacks, tackle for a loss. That's where they're going to live, and that's where they're going to have one of the best defensive coordinators in all of college football coming over there. This team is going to be aggressive. I don't have an issue with them starting out the season number 1. Some might make the case that it should be the defending champions, the Buckeyes, but either way, Penn State with a returning starter, with a veteran experienced team, them coming in number 1, no problems with it. The number 2 team, it is officially the Arch Manning era for the Texas Longhorns. Arch Manning, the full-time starter. We've seen him start games. We've seen him in some role scenarios, but never as the fully named full-time starting quarterback. So how does he live up to this? Don't forget, he has massive expectations just based off of his last name alone. Can he live up to the mountainous things that people are expecting from him? They've been recruiting well. They've been working the portal. You have to give Steve Sarkisian props. He's built this team. They've been churning out defensive linemen. That front 7 on the defensive side has been great the last couple seasons. Will they be able to keep up that momentum with guys constantly leaving off to the draft? Their wide receiver core, they've been churning out first-round wide receivers. Can they continue that momentum, continue the depth there? A lot of new starters coming in here, but this team is deep. This team is loaded. A top 3 overall roster in college football. Even with the new quarterback filling in for Quinn Ewers now, I still think they're going to have a good team. I still think they're going to have a great season. Some might even say they are the favorites for the SEC. So them being number 2, no issues with it. Technically, anywhere in the top 5, I think there'd be no problem. These top 5 teams are all very close to one another. And then number 3 is the defending champ. Some people might say they should be number 1. You have to be number 1 till you beat number 1. I wouldn't have an issue if you put the Buckeyes at number 1 just to start the season, that first 1 or 2 weeks, and then kind of let things sort themselves out because they are the defending champions. They are technically the number 1 team based off of last season, but they lost a lot of pieces. They lost their quarterbacks, running backs. They lost wide receiver depth. They lost a lot of their starters on the defensive side, but still they had the number 1 defense last season. They're going to have 2 new coordinators, offensive-wise, defensive-wise, but we know this team is a top 4 overall roster in the nation. Jeremiah Smith, to me, the number 1 player in college football coming back. You have Caleb Downs. You have an elite roster. Saying at the quarterback position, probably going to be the starter coming in here. They're going to be loaded. This is a team that you still have to put up there to be a front runner potentially to win the Big Ten. It's them. You have Penn State, Michigan, Oregon. A lot of good teams nonetheless, but I have the Buckeyes no matter where you put them from 1 through 3. Like I said, all these teams are very close within one another. Them being number 3 with all the starters they lost from last season, that's perfectly fine. And then number 4, you have the Oregon Ducks here. You have Dante Moore coming in as the full-time starter, replacing Dylan Gabriel. I don't know about this. I think Oregon is a loaded team, top 5 roster. What Dan Lanning has done with this team, building them from the trenches out, both on the defensive line, the offensive line. Dante Moore, 5-star quarterback who transferred over. This team, with the offense coordinator, Stein's offense, they are going to blaze you. They are a dark horse candidate to win the Big Ten. I don't know that I would have put them at number 4. They're definitely top 10. I'm not knocking the team, Oregon fans. This is a team that's going to make the playoffs. They're going to have a great season. 10, 11-win team no matter what. But number 4, with a lot of new pieces, with Dante Moore filling in here, I think that's a little too high here. I know Clout's a little favored, towards those old Pac-12 teams. That's all fine. Nonetheless, very talented team, going to make the playoffs, going to compete for the national championship. I would have probably had them in that 7 to 8 range right now, though. Clemson, this is where it completely differs from the ESPN FBI poll that had them around 11. He has Clemson at number 5. Dabo Swinney finally working the portal. This is his best wide receiver core he's had since his last national championship. The main thing that stands out to me, year 3, Garrett Riley. This offense is going to be even better. Klubnik had a great season last year. Right now, he is the Vegas frontrunner favorite for the Heisman coming into this season. Yes, they lost Maffa, but a great wide receiver core. They're going to have a really good defense. Allen, this defense is going to be completely different with Tim Allen there. They're going to be back to the top 20, top 10 defense. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be built at the line of scrimmage. But it's the advancements that our offense has made. Klubnik, he's a 35 to 3,700 yard passer, 800 to 900 yard rusher. He can do multiple things. He's a dual threat quarterback. He can extend plays with his legs. They're the front runner for the ACC. Would I have had them at number 5? No. Would I have had them at number 11 like ESPN had? No. I'd have probably had them in the middle, maybe an 8 to 9, but still nonetheless a top 10 team. And then number 6, you have Notre Dame, the runner-up to the national championship last season. They lost a lot of pieces from last year. Obviously, Riley Leonard's gone. I don't put too much into that because I don't think Riley Leonard was honestly the reason they made the national championship. They still have Jeremiah Love, might be the best overall running back in the nation. They're still going to have a great defense. They do have a new defensive coordinator coming in. Their defense is going to get after it. They're going to have a great offensive line, top 5 overall offensive line in the nation. For a team that runs first and lives off the play action, that's going to help this team out great. Either way, with the defense, Chris Ash coming in there, this team is going to be a good team. Number 6, I don't have an issue with that. They were the runner-up last year, so this first 1 or 2 weeks, let's move them up there. But with the quarterback position, if it's CJ Carr, whoever's going to be filling in at the quarterback position, a lot of unknowns. It's a tall task to ask. Game 1 on the road, Miami, he has to come in there. He has to compete with Carson Beck. So we're going to learn a lot about him right off the bat, game 1. And then number 7, LSU. I don't think I would have had this team up there. I'd have put them at 12 or 13. Very talented team. Top 6 overall team in the nation. Brian Kelly, a lot of pressure. This is it. You got to put up or shut up this season. He has a veteran team. It is loaded with juniors and seniors. Garrett Nussmeier, he's going to be slinging the ball 3,500 to 4,000 passing yards this season. Blake Baker, year 2, that defense is going to be even better. We know they have talent. LSU, just like the Buckeyes, they've been wide receiver in the last couple of years, churning out first-round talent at the wide receiver position. They're going to have a great offense. How much improved will their defense be? They took massive strides last year. Look for further strides this year. This team is talented. They're a dark horse in the SEC, but right now, Cloud has them as the number 2 SEC team. He has them over Georgia. He has them over Bama. So you have to ask, do you think they're better than Georgia and Bama? Potentially. Because they have Garrett Nussmeier here. He has a lot of college reps under his belt right now. That's what gives them the edge here. I'd still probably put them behind Georgia right now. But either way, them being 7, I don't have a problem with it. I just dropped them a couple slots further. And then right after that, speaking of the devil, Georgia, Kirby Smart's team, number 8. That's going to piss off Georgia Bulldogs fans. They are never that low on anyone's top 25. Gunnar Stockton taking over at the quarterback position for Carson Beck. It is a dual threat quarterback. He's going to sling it. He's going to run it. They're going to have a better wide receiver core. They hit the portal hard. They brought in Branch. They brought in Thomas. They're going to have a better wide receiver core. That's going to help the run game. Georgia was not able to consistently run the ball last season. They haven't had a 1,000-yard running back in a little while. That's unheard of for Georgia. Same thing for Alabama. Kirby Smart's defense has to get back to doing what Georgia does. Bobo, not a fan of the offensive mindset for Georgia, but it is what it is. He's the offensive coordinator here. Take advantage of Gunnar Stockton's skill sets. This is a team that's going to obviously be competing for the SEC. I'd have probably left them in the top 5 just based off of their talent alone. Gunnar Stockton getting some reps at the end of last season. But number 8, either way, if you're in the top 10, you are still within a very cramped group of people. And then you see class starting to pile on these SEC teams now. Number 9, Alabama. Obviously, Jalen Milroe's gone. He's going to be breaking in Simpson at the quarterback position. With Alabama, DeBoer, he has Ryan Grubb back. He can revert back to his type of offense. Vertical, deep passing game. They're going to open up that offense. Now, Bama, just like Georgia, though, you got to focus on that run game. Got to get better at the line of scrimmage. You need a 1,000-yard running back. That's what Bama needs. That's what Georgia needs. Get that run game going. We know with Grubb, with Simpson, you're going to have a good passing game, but you always need a run game to complement it, especially in the SEC. Alabama being top 10, I don't have any issues with it. And a pretty surprising here, he has the Fighting Illini number 10, a top 10 team. Brett Bielema, veteran coach. You know this team's going to be disciplined. You know they're going to be focused at the line of scrimmage. They're going to play trench warfare football, line up, run it down your throat. They have Altmaier. They have a veteran quarterback. He actually had a really good season last year, but they came out of nowhere last year. Now everyone's watching them. Can they live up to the massive offseason expectations? I think 10's a little too high. Top 15, number 15, 16, that's fine. But starting them out at 10, I think that's kind of a stretch here. But either way, they are a very talented team. Maybe they are this year's Indiana. And kind of in a very similar situation, number 11, South Carolina, Shane Beamer. You know, this team also came out of nowhere. Dark Horse just missed out on the playoffs last season with their team. Lenoris Sellers, he's getting a lot of Heisman hype. They're going to have a good run game. They're going to have a good wide receiver. They had a top 30 offense last season, top 25 defense. They lost a lot of their defensive stars on that defensive line, but this team is talented. They've been recruiting well. They've been working the portal, but now they're not sneaking up on anyone. Everyone has this game circled on their schedule. They got to take them serious or South Carolina will beat them. But still, I don't have an issue with them ranking them 11. They finished last season hot. If they can keep that momentum, then they're going to have a great season this year as well. Number 12, Michigan. I think this is a little stretch. 8-win team last season. Obviously more, freshman year starting as the full-time coach for Michigan. Finished last season as hot as anyone in the nation, but you're going to have Underwood there. What are you doing at the quarterback position? Are you starting a true freshman 5-star player? We don't know. We know that this is a run-focused team, so they're going to take some pressure off of him. But if some teams can shut the run down, it's going to force him into third and long passing situations. They're going to have a good defense. They always force every opponent they play to play their style of football. Ground and pound, hard-nosed, old-school football. That's how they win games. That's how they beat the Buckeyes right before they went on that playoff run. I would not have ranked them number 12, though. I think 20, 21, 12 to me is a little too high. Setting them up to potentially, if they lose, the first one or the second game, they're going to drop them 10 spots. Why punish them like that? They're good. Freshman 5-star quarterback. Let's just slow it down a little bit. Let's not hype them up too much yet. The number 13, you have Florida, DJ Lagway, Billy Napier, recruiting well, working the portal. He was on the hot seat last season. They won 8 games. He has to replicate that this season, or he's again going to find himself on the hot seat. But there's no doubt this is a talented roster. The players love playing for Napier. They play very competitively for him. But, it's a tall task. They still have a very difficult schedule. Not as rough as last season's, but still overall a very tough schedule. Big expectations here, jumping them up to 13. I'd have probably dropped them down around 20, take some of that pressure off of them. There's nothing to me that they finished last season that makes them look like a top 13 team right now, but they might be able to prove that during the season. Still, overall, they got to work on that defense. I want to see it on the field first before I fully buy it. He has BYU number 14. We know that obviously that's changed. If they had Retzlaff, yes, they were a 10-win team last season. Great team, potentially competing for the Big 12. If they win the Big 12, they can find themselves in the playoff. But with Retzlaff just out of nowhere, all that BYU off the field stuff, with him transferring out, this team now right before the regular season starts, they don't have a quarterback. It's a mess. Completely threw their season off track. I feel bad for their fans. You were setting up for a potential playoff year. Now you're just hoping to get a bowl game. Number 15, Arizona State. We know the run this team did last year. Cam Scadaboo off to the NFL, but you have Levin. He's getting Heisman hype. You have Tyson back at the wide receiver position. That guy's a legit 1,000-yard receiver. He's been working the portal. You have Kenny Dillingham. What he's done with this team in a very short amount of time took them to the playoffs last season, winning the Big 12. This team is talented. Will they be able to replicate last season's production? I don't know. Will they find themselves in the playoffs? Potentially, if they win the Big 12, yes, and the Big 12 is completely wide open this season. I don't have an issue with them being ranked here. They still have a lot of returning production. Sam Levitt getting a lot of off-field hype. 16, you're starting to see a lot of Big 12 teams piling up here. Kansas State coming in here. Chris Klieman, one of the best all-around coaches in college football, gets the most out of the team he has. He gets 3 stars, couple 4 stars, and he coaches that team up. Perfect system here. You have Avery Johnson, the highest recruited player in Kansas State history. People were going after him, but he stayed loyal to Kansas State. He can throw for 3,000, 3,400 yards. He can run for 800 to 1,000 yards. Dual threat quarterback. This is a team, circle them, especially with BYU kind of falling down. They might be a team that might win the Big 12 this season. And then number 17, Iowa State, 10-win team last season, made the Big 12 championship. Rocco Beck had a great season last year. This is a team, it's a Matt Campbell team. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play hard-nosed style of football. They're going to have a good defense. He wants to build them in the trenches. Last season, they got to concentrate a little more on that run game. Kind of fell off last season, but Matt Campbell usually has a good run game, usually has a very disciplined team, usually has a good defense. With Rocco Beck getting that experience last season, keep your eye on them. They made it to the Big 12 championship last season, so they are going to be in that conversation potentially to compete for it again this year. Then you have Miami coming in here, number 18, obviously Carson Beck coming over. They've been working the portal. They've been recruiting well. Mario Cristobal, this is the year you had Cameron Ward last season. Number 1 overall draft pick. You're bringing in Carson Beck. You paid him a lot of money. There's a team with a younger wide receiver core, but a very sound running back room. One of the best offensive lines in the nation. Top 5 easily. Worst case scenario, top 10. But either way, you're going to be able to just run it down people's throat. Carson Beck loves the play action. If you can run the ball, as long as your receivers don't drop the ball like Georgia's did last season, he's going to put up very respectable numbers. Not Cameron Ward numbers, but you might not need that because with Heatherman taking over the defense might be better. I think Miami's perfectly situated here at 18. They're not too high. They're not too low. There's a couple things that we want to see on the field first. So let's see it first. They're put right where they should be. Then you have the Aggies coming in here. Mike Elko, hard-nosed, old-school style of football. They had a little bit of a quarterback carousal. Wegman getting hurt last season. You have Marcel Reed taking over full-time, starting the season as your starting quarterback. They're going to have a good run game. They're going to play good defense. They're going to be built from the trenches out, but a very difficult schedule here. Will they be able? They have Notre Dame again, a hard-nosed, slogging, muddy football game. They're going to be challenged early. They're going to be challenged often throughout the schedule. Can they live up to it? They are always that team starts top 25, kind of hovers around 20 to 25 throughout the season, and at the very end falls out, but they should be better than they were last year. Another year in this game. I'd have dropped them that 20 to 25, so I'm sitting at 19. That is technically perfectly fine. 20, you have Ole Miss. Some people have them in the top 10. Some people have them 20 to 25. Obviously, you lost Jackson Dart. You lost Trey Harris, but you have Austin Simmons coming in here. Very highly recruited quarterback. There's going to be a team that's going to be deep. Lane Kiffin. They're going to have a good offense. They had a top 10 defense last season, a top 5 offense. The big question to me is not the offense. We know they're going to score points. Will the defense be able to replicate the production they had from last season? Will they still have a top 10 defense? Maybe not. Will they have a top 20 defense? If they do, they still have a shot to make the playoffs. I'd have moved them up a little higher than this, maybe 16 to 17, but 20, they are still within striking distance. Number 21, Indiana. This is a team. Signetti, we know he runs his mouth off. The team was able to back it up last season until they got to the playoffs, but he was what they did with the amount of players they had, with the 3- and 4-star players they had. Got to give this team props. Got to give them respect. People are going to be taking them serious this season. They actually have a pretty talented team. They've been working that portal, especially on the defensive side, making sure they keep their talent level high. Indiana, you don't want to hype them up too much and jump them up to 12 or 13. Them being in that 21 to 25 area, that's right where they want to be. It is respectable, still capable of making a run in the Big Ten. Then you have Auburn coming in here 22. I think this is a little bit of a stretch here. Hugh Freeze, a lot of pressure on him. Jackson Arnold coming over. We know they have one of the best wide receiver cores on paper in the nation. We know they had a top 20 defense last year, and the issue was the offense, specifically the quarterback position. They bring in Jackson Arnold, who did not leave Oklahoma showing a lot of great plays, but maybe in the Hugh Freeze scheme with him calling plays, you're going to actually see Jackson Arnold, 5-star quarterback coming out of high school. Maybe he'll be able to live up to that expectation. I would not put them at 22 right now. They got to show it. Jackson, Singleton coming over from Georgia Tech. I want to see the product on the field first because the way their offense played last season, they are not a top 25 team. They are a bowl team. They're a 7-8-win team, great Syria. Now, if everything is clicking and they hit their production capabilities, then yes, they're top 25. I'd have set them around 27 to 28, just barely left them out of the top 25. Then you have Iowa. With Kirk Ferentz, their games are the worst games to watch. It is what it is. I would love to see Iowa have a top 120 offense because then they'd actually be a really good team. They always have a top 5, top 10 defense, but their offense, they were ranked 130th out of 132 teams a couple seasons ago. That's how bad it is. Kirk Ferentz will not have a modern day offense under any scenario. He wants to run a 1920 Great Depression offense. It is what it is. They have the transfer portal back. They have Gronkowski coming over from South Dakota State. So obviously their offense will be able to get some type of play out of him. He's a little bit of a dual threat quarterback. Maybe that will change this offense, but probably not because Kirk Ferentz has been there forever. The offense has remained the same, but still their defense is usually so good. They're still a top 25 team no matter what. They just win off of defensive and special teams touchdowns, and they'll beat you 7-3, but they are a top 25 team. They get the most out of their players. I don't have an issue with them being there. Kirk Ferentz just throw the ball. For once, throw the ball. And then 24, Baylor. We'll get to see Baylor, Auburn right out the gate. So who's going to earn that top 25 spot? Baylor, Sawyer Robinson, Dave Aranda got a lot of pressure off of him. Robinson last season, 3,000 yards. They really weren't hot the second half of the season, winning 8 games last year. They are a dark horse in the Big 12. I love them being ranked here, top 25. It's been a while since we've seen great Baylor football. It's been since the Art Briles days, so maybe they have a spark there, but they got to carry that momentum from last season. Then you have number 25, Oklahoma. I don't have an issue with them being 25, but will they finish the season top 25? That's the big question. They have the most difficult schedule in the nation. John Mateer transferring over. Great quarterback. 35, 4,000 yards passer, potentially 1,000-yard rusher. He has Ben Arbuckle, his offensive coordinator from Washington State, coming over to Oklahoma with him. He's going to be in the same scheme. They're going to have a top 20, top 25 defense. That's Brent Venables' specialty. But will their players, they're going to have a healthy wide receiver core for once. They're going to be built from the trenches. Venables, with this team, with this roster you've assembled, you have to win now. Very difficult schedule. They're going to be beat up, and it's going to be tiring. But I'm fine with them having a top 25 ranking here. Because our top 25 roster, especially with John Mateer and Arbuckle coming over with that wide receiver core, with that defense, it's just, are they going to finish it there with that schedule? That is a rough schedule. So guys, that's our top 25 teams. That's just our reaction to the Fox Sports poll that came out. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, by all means, drop them below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? What are your thoughts on these rankings? Are they where they should be? If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, look down the pinned comment below. Click on that link. You can sign up there, and I would definitely appreciate it. And of course, as always, thank you for watching.